Hi guys, it's Mark here from Newbie Preppers. I wanted to go over some items what you be trading with. Now I know there's a lot of suggestions out there, so I thought I'll give my ideas and my views. Now I wanted to do it more as like a time period of what you use to trade with and the certain circumstances. Now if there's a monetary collapse and it's only our country, then obviously as in like Venezuela and as we've seen in like Cyprus and in some points like Greece and Italy, where the money is slightly devalued, and there's a shortage and the banks close and it's hard to get your money out. So any spare cash that you got in the first part of the first weeks is always vital. Now you've got to think of how much you spend in a week, how much you spend in a month. So if it's just a local collapse, like just your country, then try and have at least a month's worth of spare cash. That will see you so you can pay like the bills, you know, even though the value might drop, you still be able to buy some food and essentials if you haven't already got them. So having at least a month's supply of cash in a local collapse, it would be advisable. If it goes on any longer, yes, by all means, this goes against the grain for me really. Gold would be a source for you to hold on and have as a tradable item, because gold will still have a value because the countries around your country will still be trading in gold. They will still be buying gold. Russia at the moment is buying gold. China, Brazil, I believe India is buying gold, and so it will still hold its value because the collapse is only local, you know, to your country. Where you go and trade, obviously you'll try and get over your border, or like where I live in Northern Ireland, so we'll go down south, or go over to the mainland and go to France, where you'll be able to trade. But then it's going to cost you money to do that, so bear that in mind. So yes, store gold for the early periods of a collapse and ongoing if it's a local collapse. Now if it's a global collapse, where all countries of a collapse for some reason, and that's where it will slightly change, because if all the banks have collapsed, which is quite unlikely, but if it does happen, there's no one going to be regulating the price of things, and that's the key difference. If all countries are the same, all countries won't be buying, and people won't be buying. So again, having the supply of cash to start would be a good idea, and then going into gold for a shorter time after that, but then you'd have to go back to your basic items for trading. Now if there's a pandemic right across the world, an EMP of some kind, being from like the sun, a nuclear explosion, an asteroid, higher level explosion, I believe May calls it, I'm not sure, but anything will take out the grid globally, does two things. Obviously you can't get money out your banks because there's no electricity. You can't value stuff like before because there's no way of comparing markets around the world. So again, in the short term, your cash to buy stuff if the shop's open. Obviously there's a pandemic, rules change depending on the scenario of what's happening. So you've got to think of the risk involved of you going out. So longer term, when you're talking about like 6 months plus, if it's 6 months plus and there's not a government supporting a country, not many people will be wanting gold, to be honest. Like if you find you're going to be finding small groups of people dotted around. They're not going to be interested in gold. They're not going to be interested in your cash, because cash was only valuable to that country while that country was still with a government. Because as the country will start back up again, with all small settlements slowly building back up, you may not have the same currency. You might revert back to silver and gold coins. So yes, you may have the benefit of storing gold, but this is a long time in the future. So tradable items. So I've got some stuff in front of me, and I've broken them down. Now, obviously, the first tradable item would always be like water, food, you know, and having, I've got some things, tins like tuna, or sealed packets of like biscuits and stuff. Perfect. You have it, and there's a value to it, and you can barter to what you want. So if someone had some batteries, which is another tradable item, and you needed some batteries, and they've got a way of like recharging them, and they say, oh, these are rechargeable batteries, they show you that they work and they're fully charged. A few batteries, 3 or 4, may be worth a tin of tuna to you. Well, it might not. You know, you might want extra batteries. Now, so food, tuna, biscuits, tradable items. Batteries, tradable items. Now, going on with more on tradable items. Now, think of the luxuries what we have now. Now, there's one to hand, cigarettes. How long do you think the cigarettes will last in the shops? Whatever happens has happened, and there's no government, there's no police around, and it's just thugs going around, criminals and gangs of marauders, and even in some point preppers, because you will still go out raiding after a period of time to gather resources. Obviously, depending on what's happened, if there's been a pandemic and you know, the avian flu or Ebola, especially Ebola, has hit, and there's millions of people dead over the world, and you and your family have survived, and there's other settlers around. Not many. I don't smoke, so cigarettes is always going to be a bargain for me, because you know, if there's someone in that other group who used to be a smoker, he probably would give you loads of water or some food for some cigarettes, you know. So cigarettes. Now, for the chocoholics out there, chocolate. You know, obviously bars would be better, but small bars of chocolate, tradable. You know, it's a luxury item. So cigarettes, chocolate, and also if it's luxury items, alcohol. You know, obviously glasses, and the glass fill up with alcohol is fairly heavy. So, but you can get like the little mixers. Quite a lot of them, the bottles are made out of plastic, makes them lighter. You know, there'd be whiskey, vodka, and also with alcohol, it's an antiseptic as well. So you've got two purposes there. So alcohol, perfect. Now I'm going to break this next ones down into 2 parts. Also, you got your first aid, so bandages, wipes, you know, all the first aid stuff. What you find from a first aid box, it would be another form of trading. You know, because there's always going to be people wanting to barter for first aid equipment, and if you're short in your group of first aid equipment, and you come to a group that's got loads of first aid but they're short of equipment, you know, then you may trade equipment for first aid. So equipment like rechargeable solar powered lights. Now these are really great, you know, really bright. I'm gonna, as you can see, nice and bright, almost blind you, fully charged. You know, I have this on the back of my pack, so it's solar powered, and I've got a couple of them. So if it got to the stage where I don't need these as much now, but we were short of medical supplies or antibiotics, I might turn around and say, well, do you need a light source, you know, rechargeable light source? And they say, yeah, we need that. We give you some medical supplies, antibiotics. Now I've got some antibiotics and got these, so I'm prepared with some antibiotics. Now I know there is a date, the expiry date on stuff, and from what I gather of antibiotics, it would either increase the potency or decrease it over a period of time. That's the gamble what you're going to have to take, you know, especially with antibiotics. But it's better to have them, and if they don't seem to be working as much, you can always have another dose. Obviously, just make sure you don't have too much, because you don't want to overdose on antibiotics. So, not as in overdose, but so they're the basic forms of tradable items, you know, which I feel would be appropriate wherever you might be, or you know, wherever you might be around the world, whatever situation there is. Of course, there's the other one is like ammunition. If you've got guns, obviously I live in the UK, so firearms is not really easy accessible item, and maybe we might find some after whatever happens. So if you have got a firearm from that, keep it, make sure you got your ammunition for it. Again, it's a tradable item with ammunition. But I think that's about it, really. I think I've gone through the majority of the stuff, but if you think of what I've left something out, please leave a comment. Give me a thumbs up, which is down that way, and please subscribe. And if you like the video, we'll make plenty more for you. So have a nice day and keep your training going. Bye.